Jubilee Insurance PLC. I was just doing my analysis for Jubilee and I decided that I should also give you my brief analysis of what I've done in the Jubilee PLC. Jubilee is an insurance intensive company that is listed in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, and it has really done well over the years. I've seen its history. It has really been progressing very well, showing green and advancement. That's a positive growth over the years, dating back 2023, 2024, 2025. Right now we are in 2026, and Jubilee has really posted very good yields in terms of dividends as well as capital gains. And I can see it's also a good company for you to stake your funds so that they can be able to grow with time. If you are staking your funds for a period of, let's say, 5 years or 10 years, it's a good company to consider. It's a regional company. It has a very wide asset base that spans beyond Kenya. That is actually it covers Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. I think it goes also to Mauritius. It has a vision to also partner with the DRC insurance company. That's to expand there. That's their prospect. So I can say for Jubilee PLC, it's a very good company whereby you can direct your funds there as an investor, and also if you want to grow wealth, because right now the easiest way to grow wealth is to becoming an investor. Businesses nowadays give people lots of headache. So actually narrowing down to you on my very brief analysis here of Jubilee insurance company. Right now it is trading at a share price of 368 today. Today the 15th of July, the 15th of June 2026. It has closed with a share price of 368.00 shillings. That is Jubilee. That means for you to stake an amount of 100 shares, you need 36,800. But good thing with the NSE right now, we are free to buy any amount of shares with any amount that you've got. It only depends with the broker that you have. Like you can also have another broker who can allow you to have one share of Jubilee that is trading at 368. So if you add brokerage fees, let's just put it at around 400. That's a rough estimate of a solid figure, 400 shillings. You can be having one share for Jubilee. Jubilee is a very good company. It's a very big company with a market cap that is very big. I've already told you that the asset base for Jubilee is very big, actually. And then when we look at its earnings per share, right now it goes at 54.26. Aside that one, the PE ratio is 9.21. Not bad. It's good, actually. 10 and below, I consider it quite reasonable. Its book value, actually, I can only quote it in billions. That is, I don't want to give the rough figures because, of course, they can grow and they can also shrink. So it is in billions. Intrinsic value. Imagine Jubilee intrinsic value per share. It is going at 742 shillings, and yet its share price it is trading at 368. That's half of what Jubilee is trading. It's trading with half its intrinsic value. Wow, that is a stake. Fine. Dividend yield for Jubilee this year it is 15. The final dividend is right now paying 13 shillings. I think it's 13 and some cents. That is, I've given it easy math. That is 13 shillings. That's a good dividend yield, actually. Jubilee, comparing it to its peers, that is, comparing it to Sanlam Allianz, comparing it to Britam, comparing it to CIC, you can see these three, I can say they are national insurance companies, but for Jubilee, I can say it is a regional insurance company because to me, Jubilee is the only one that has gone beyond the East African border. Absolutely. So Jubilee is a very good company. Ah, the profits have checked for Jubilee. It has been was it 55.5 billion for financial year 2025, if I'm not wrong. It is 55 billion, if I'm not wrong, point 0.5 something, but there, 55 billion. That is the profits in the financial year 2025. That's how big Jubilee is as a company. And those are some of the credential amounts you have to really have them keyed in as you do your analysis for a company. Because I was trying to look at Jubilee so that I can be able to see whether I can stake my funds in either Jubilee or Britam, or should I put it in Sanlam or CIC. All of those are peers in the same sector. That's the insurance sector. Uh-huh. When we narrow down to the balance sheet, cash versus debt, Jubilee have seen it as a positive feedback on that. More cash than debt. That's a green light to me as an investor, and also to you who is also an investor and who is also looking forward to investing in Jubilee. Actually, having more cash than debt as a company, even to yourself, that's a green light. That's a big step to you. Then debt to equity ratio. Let's check the debt to equity ratio for Jubilee. That is it's on its balance sheet. Oh, what did I find here? Debt to equity ratio. It was also it was promising, absolutely, because I consider below zero point 0.8 being very strong company that actually has focused on itself to outgrow its liabilities by the shareholders' equity. So having a debt to equity ratio that is less than zero point 0.8, me, that's a green light for me to have in my funds to it. When you look at retained earnings, retained earnings that you look at year two retained earnings divided by year one retained earnings, and when you see from the consecutive years, if there has been a growth on the retained earnings over the years, even if there has been a recession, that tells us that Jubilee is a promising company. It's a growing company, and it's a promising company that when you find a company during a recession, it is making gains. That's a very good company that you have to stake your money. Actually, consider this as a disclaimer. I'm not asking, I'm giving this video as a financial advice. You also have to do your own personal analysis. There are things you can also consider, things you can also highlight before you stake your funds. For me, I'm giving you my reviews. If you like to go with my reviews, that is absolutely perfect. We are going to sail through this ocean of profit and wealth creation with you. And if you want also to add on into the things that are not there, you want also to check on other figures that are not in, you can also go ahead and tabulate on the figures I've given you and also the figures that you have from your side, and then be able to stake your funds. Whether you find it valid or not, that means you're going to withhold your funds from investing in Jubilee. Aside that one, we can actually move to checking the income statement for Jubilee, whereby the shareholders' equity, that is when we check the income statement for Jubilee. When we look at the gross margin, actually I was looking at the gross margin for Jubilee, and I found out that the gross profit, the gross margin for Jubilee, which it has a simple formula, which is gross profit all over divided by the revenue, which for me I've usually set a tally whereby if I find the gross margin being greater than 40%, then I consider that one being a great indicator of pricing power. And out of that, I stake my funds. But I won't stake my funds just because of that one consideration of analyzing the income statement. There are a number of them that have to tick green so that I can be able to stake my funds here. So if I see gross margin has staked, found the results which is greater than 40%, I tick that box green, and then I move down to the next analysis. So for the gross margin, my baseline analysis is that the result should be greater than 40%. And after I did my analysis, I got it is 96%. Wow, that is way much ahead. That is very good. Wow. Fine. I tick that checkbox as green. We move to the next, which is profit margin. Move from the gross margin, go to the profit margin. Formula for profit margin, net income over revenue, whereby I've also put a basis amount on this one. If I find the profit margin to be greater than 20%. That means it is a company that is giving sustainable profits. And as I have told you earlier on at the beginning of this video, is that Jubilee has really posted great profits on the consecutive historical years, that is 2023, 2024, 2025. It has really been showing consecutive profits. Therefore, when we come to analyze the profit margin for Jubilee, that's the net income over divided by revenue. Find it at I got it at 17%. I consider it good, or let me say fair, to consider this company, because there are those check boxes which are gonna tick green. There are those check boxes that I'm gonna tick fair. Actually, to find a company that it is ticking everything green, okay, I don't know, unless you also find it from your side. And you can also give me your feedback on the comment section that you got this company and everything ticked green in the check boxes. Because for me here, in analyzing the income statement, I look at the gross margin, I look at the profit margin, I look at the income tax margin, I look at its earnings per share. Earnings per share for Jubilee right now, it has been 55. Is it? Is it 55? It is 54.26. That's the earnings per share for Jubilee Insurance. And then I also look at the interest expense margin. I look at research and development margin. The formula for research and development margin is research and development divided by gross profit, whereby my baseline is that if I find the answer to be less than 30%, then that means it's a simple business. And we find profits in the simplicity, not in the complex of things. The formula for interest expense margin, which is the total interest expense over the operating income, whereby I've placed my basis, which when I find the answer to be less than 15% or something around there, it indicates that the company has a low debt. Low debt, of course, compared to its asset value. That's compared to its book value. And then I also look at the income tax margin. The formula for income tax margin, I simply find it by dividing income tax divided by the pre-tax income, where I've staked my basis to be that if I find it to be approximately 20%, that means that they are how that company is actually abiding by the protocols of taxation is good and well managed. That means you can't find that company in scandalous issues with tax filing and all that. That's just definite from how we can see from Jubilee. They found its income tax margin to be very well, because it being a regional company, insurance company, that means it has to abide by the tax of a number of countries. And it has really posed a green check mark on this, even as it is looking forward to expand the market in DRC and other countries in Africa. So that is it. Just a very simple analysis like that. That is how I usually do my analysis, checking through the income statement, checking through the balance sheet. And then aside that one, I also go to the news to see what are the developments that the company is laying down, what are the visions, what are the prospects, what are the managers and the CEO in the company, what are they planning, what are they saying, what are people saying. Of course, in Kenya, people have not been so much into insurances. Actually, our rate in consuming insurance services as compared to South Africa, our rate of consuming insurance services is very low. Actually, the last time I was checking, it was rated at about, was it 12%? Yet when you look at a country like South Africa, it is way much higher at around 20%. So you find out that our rate of consuming uh, uh, insurance services, it is very low, quite low, and it's quite low. So to me, I found this as an interesting sector to invest in, as I find it so much profiting to diversify my investments across different sectors, from the energy to insurance to manufacture to utilities consumers to banking. Of course, there are those sectors that are strong and pose very promising and readily staked profits that you can really see that this sector is actively engaging in profit making. But there are those sectors whose cogs rotate slowly, they go slow. One of it is this insurance that I've just analyzed for you, but I've seen it as a good portfolio to also engage in because it can actually act as a shield because we don't know what tomorrow can trigger people to start consuming insurance services in Kenya and in the regions beyond Kenya, actually. So when it finds you in, actually, you just ride into the profit. Very well. It is just like how SpaceX has brought in the profits to those employees who had been investing in it, whereby at the click of a button, when now it was listed, then millionaires and billionaires have just been made by just a day, just like that, just simply like that. So that's why I considered also having my funds to stake them in an insurance company. We have a number of insurance companies. We have Sanlam, Allianz, we have CIC, we also have Britain. They are very great companies. I'll also be doing an analysis of them and also having them brought to you. But in the meantime, you can share your views in the comment section and also tell me whether you've analyzed on those other three peers of Jubilee Insurance and what are your results? What do you find interesting on them that you can also like people to get to know and be able to direct their funds to those companies? Do you find them highly staked or do you find them overpriced, underpriced? How do you see them in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years? Actually, I've been following the news for Britain and they have also been doing quite very well. And I've also checked how Sanlam Allianz actually has been paying its dividends. Actually, Sanlam Allianz is a good dividend paying or income generating um, insurance company, which actually poses great profit. So feel free to give your comments at the comment section so that we can be able to share this knowledge and be able also roll out our journey into the wealth creation.